Now, will Wales be better off thanks to extra funding from the UK government off the back of the High-Speed 2 rail project in England? Well, it depends who you listen to. The Finance Minister, Jane Hutt, has insisted Wales is getting an extra £35 million as a result. But the Treasury says Wales won't be getting any extra cash. We'll be live in Westminster in a moment. First, our political editor, Nick Servini.
It's the biggest investment in the British rail network in a generation, costing an estimated £40 billion. If High-Speed 2 is given the go-ahead, journey times between London and cities in the north of England will be cut dramatically. Wales usually gets a share of the value of major projects that affect England, using the Barnett formula. But that doesn't always apply. It didn't with the Olympics because there was felt to be a UK-wide benefit anyway. The Treasury has always insisted it'll be the same with High-Speed 2. Until now, it seems. The current row revolves around spending for 2015. The Finance Minister, Jane Hutt, insists the Welsh Government will get around £35 million extra as a result of High-Speed 2. The Treasury insists that's not the case. The complex system of money coming from Westminster to Cardiff has led to calls for it to be changed.
We do need reform, there's no question about it. We've always said we need reform, but the main thing is that we need more levers on our finance in Wales so we can boost the economy and boost the construction sector. And I think this just demonstrates how difficult it is without that kind of reform.
High-Speed 2 is not coming to stations like this here at Cardiff, but its impact could be felt because the importance of this is the precedent that it could set. If Wales does get a share of the overall spend on the High-Speed 2 project in England, it could amount to hundreds of millions of pounds, and much of that money could be spent on the transport infrastructure in Wales.
I think there's a general sense of unhappiness here in Cardiff that Wales isn't getting a fair share, a fair hand from the UK government. On the other hand, I think there's a feeling in the UK government that Wales is just complaining and moaning. And, this is not a healthy relationship at the moment. And this row is another exemplification of that.
Whatever side of the track the reality is, there are plenty of variables here, including the big one that High-Speed 2 is so controversial it may not be given the go-ahead anyway.
Let's chat now to our parliamentary correspondent David Cornock, who's at Westminster. So the Welsh Government and the Treasury contradicting each other. They can't both be right.
No, they can't, Thomas. They do agree on one thing. They agree on the formula that was used to calculate the extra spending that has ended up in the Welsh Government's budget. But the Treasury here is adamant. It says HS2, National Rail Infrastructure, was excluded before that formula was applied, giving the extra money to Wales. It says that the extra money is going to Wales not as a result of spending on trains and infrastructure and railways, but as a result of extra spending on road projects in England. Now, the Welsh Government looks at the figures and says, well, hang on, we've got, there's money here we weren't expecting. This can only have come because of the extra spending on HS2. Now, the bottom line is really that having spent the last 3 years complaining about being shortchanged by the coalition here, for the first time, the Welsh Government now has a little bit more money in one area than it was expecting, and that, Thomas, is a first.
So, and when will we know for sure about this money?
Well, as Nick said, it's a hugely controversial project and it's going to take a long time to be sorted. We know the spending plans until 2015. We don't know what will happen after the general election then. We do know that HS2 will take a long time to build. It'll be 10 or more years before trains are actually running on those new high-speed rail lines. So there will be a lot of financial negotiations, new formulas applied before then. It will be a long and slow journey, but the stakes in terms of hundreds of millions of pounds or more, well, they are huge.
OK, David Cornock, thank you very much indeed.